Comments, questions? We have two fighters that are joining us, to really fight and to defeat, no serious infections. That's what we want. And today's, UFC and their president and Antonio and the other organizations here, really the message is that we can make a difference if each of us, as Dennis was saying, take this seriously. As Miesha reminds us, it's about responsibility, about recognizing that it's a threat out there, and if they can deliver a message, especially to our young population, UFC does very, very well. I think it's a big plus. Any comments or questions?
Why did you decide New York as the place to host this campaign?
I think I mentioned that it actually started in Nevada, which is our hometown. Wherever we go, like for events on the road, we've been approached in Chicago, and we brought the campaign there as well. But New York is one of our biggest markets. It's hugely important for us because a lot of our partners are based here, and we have the opportunity to work with them. So, it just seems like the right place to do it as well. But we plan on taking it international.
So far we have Nevada, now New York, and I guess what's next?
We've been activating in Chicago, and obviously all of the media that we put behind it is on a national and actually a global basis.
Any other comments or questions? Yes.
Qué bueno unirse diferentes agencias y diferentes personalidades que tenemos aquí, porque VIH no se termina. Cuando uno vive con VIH vive los 365 días. Y hay que ver con la familia integral, no solamente por los jóvenes, sino también por las madres de familia, por los que sentimos y cargamos todos los días el virus en el cuerpo de uno, y que es muy importante la sensibilización.
It's very important, to bring the message, especially for those that live with HIV, 365 days, per year. And it's crucial also to touch, those that care, for them, that really we need to recognize that we can prevent, is important. And I'm glad that two important personalities are here to support the message. Thank you. ¿Alguien más? Sí, okay. Entrevistarlos ahí. Okay. Do you like to do some one-on-ones?
I'm sorry, is this the beginning of a kickoff of a campaign? What is going to come next in this?
Yeah, so we initially rolled this out in Nevada. We've obviously brought it here to New York, but the UFC is committed to making this, global. We're putting all of our media behind it, whether it's our social channels. Like I mentioned, we're using all of our own media to put behind this message.
Like, what will the UFC continually do to?
So, as you can see, one of the key aspects, obviously, is driving our athletes to be the spokespeople for this cause. So, Miesha and Dennis have willingly participated in this. We want to make sure that there's outreach in all of these sectors. So, if you're looking for someone to speak on it, we believe that these talent resonate well with the young community. So, we'll be doing posters, we'll be doing talks, anything that the community centers that are actively part of it in the local market.
What, can you guys talk at all about why this issue particularly resonates with you?
Sure.
If there's like a personal connection to it, or?
No, I don't have any personal connection, but I feel like I have a personal responsibility because I have a great outreach. I have so many hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter alone, and I feel like I can do something with that. And I feel like the message that I can convey, I feel like, being from the younger generation and realizing something new. I didn't know about the statistics, so I can only imagine people younger than myself. So I just wanted to get involved with it because I don't have a personal connection with one person, but I have a personal connection with the whole United States. You know what I mean? I want our population and our youth to be healthy, and it just seemed like the right thing to do.
For me personally, I kind of think of like HIV and stuff like that, kind of like a zombie virus, if you will. I kind of dumb things down for my own self, but because once you're like, or zombie tag, like once you tag somebody, right, that they're with you, now you're both in, and it just kind of can spread like a big. So if we can prevent that and use my name, and like I said, I don't have numbers like Miesha Tate does on Twitter and Instagram, but I'm trying. Yeah. So if I can help in any way, that's
I just feel like a lot of us are role models for the young demographic. We have a great outreach. Most of the UFC viewership are 30 and under, and so why not? We get tested before every single fight. I think it's important that they know that we do take risks inside the cage. We make smart decisions, to be preventative in all the ways that we can. Even though we do take calculated risk, it is calculated. And there's a lot of things that I feel like people can do in their day-to-day lives to prevent the spread of HIV.
also, I imagine, has something to do with reducing stigma around HIV as well. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Of course, for us, and I'm sure for Antonio as well, and for the other organizations that work in this field, having Dennis, having Miesha, and having UFC, adding their voices and their weight and their reach that is very global, I think is a tremendous sign of hope for us. To reduce that this is not an isolated issue. 1.1 million individuals are living with HIV in the United States. Globally, as you know, is a bigger issue. And unfortunately, globally, people don't have access to care. And I truly believe that their voices and their commitment, as Miesha was saying, their personal responsibility, and as Dennis was mentioning, also is their commitment to not only to be safe when they fight, but also when they go outside. And the message here is that will help us for sure to reduce stigma. Why? Because you would put it in another platforms that usually the conversation about prevention, education, in this case about HIV and AIDS, or could be cancer, could be any other disease that is affecting the population in general, is a tremendous contribution to reduce stigma. And you present here, by the way, all the outlets that are here help us to even reaching more people. And I think we really want to recognize your presence and their commitment to bring that message and reduce the stigma across the world. Anything else, Tony?
Sure. I just want to add that knowing your status is so important. Also for the sake of not reducing transmissions. If you know your status and you're being treated, the chance of you transmitting the virus to someone else who doesn't have it is less than that much more. So that's part of what the work done in the organizations here in the city, including the Latino Commission and this LGBT Center, is getting people to know their status so they can get appropriate treatment and connected to appropriate care. And that in and of itself will help lower stigma, but also reduce rates of transmission.
Something that you mentioned that New York is one of the biggest markets for UFC, definitely is. I love UFC, full disclosure. But one of the things is MMA is still illegal here in this town. So what is, I guess, your perspective on that? And does this campaign, do you hope it'll play a role in maybe New York's decision?
Unfortunately, we're still in the same position from a regulatory perspective as we've been over the last 4 or 5 years. As you probably know, the state Senate has overwhelmingly passed every year. We expect that to happen in the next couple of weeks again. And we're waiting for a vote to be taken to the floor of the Assembly. But when I say that New York is an important market and one of the biggest markets for us, we operate every other line of business here. So we have gyms here. We have, all of our cable partners are here. Our huge fan base is here. 10% of all of the U.S. revenue comes from the state of New York. So we want to do more. We want to bring live events here. We have champions from this state, but this is purely for raising awareness for this important cause, and it matches perfectly with our demo. So that's the motivation behind this initiative.
And again, I think both athletes, and all of us, and I see some, our friend Christopher from Gay Mental Crisis is here for one-on-one conversations. And again, on behalf of the community partners, we're grateful for your presence, and also we're very grateful for UFC, to launch this campaign. Quiero agradecerles a todos por estar aquí. Realmente el esfuerzo de llevar esta campaña y promover la prueba del VIH es fantástica, va a reducir el estigma, va a conectar a más gentes con la atención médica, que en Estados Unidos tenemos la suerte de poder tener acceso a ella. 1.1 millones de personas, 220,000 de esos son latinos, hispanos, y Miesha y Dennis, Antonio, Cristian y yo estamos comprometidos y alegres de que ellos se unan a esta gran causa. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much.